Hey, welcome into this week's Chug Chant. I'm Cousin Randy out here on the San Francisco rooftop, but I'm in my all black today because someone on the West Coast just made a huge mistake. Let's get this chug down and then we'll chant. Woo, Seattle. What are you doing? This is the funeral for Seattle. Funeral for Pete Carroll. What are you doing letting Russell Wilson go? And for getting nickels and dimes on the dollar here, you're just getting ripped off. Denver sent you 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and a tight end, and you guys are jumping for joy? Washington wanted 3 firsts. What are you doing here, Seattle? Giving up Russell Wilson. Before he got there, he had 5 10-win seasons. In the last 10 years he's been there, you've had 8. He's carrying the worst offensive line in the league. He's carrying the worst pass defense in the league, an old aging coach that's stuck in the 90s run game, and he is taking to the playoffs and the Super Bowls, and look at you now. What are you going to have left in a few years? Pete Carroll, say goodbye to your coaching career. You're about to retire, that's for sure. Seattle fans, you're done. Drew Lock, oh, congratulations. What are you going to get? Malik Willis? That's 10 years from a Super Bowl. This is the death of the Seattle Seahawks and Pete Carroll. Let's all bow our heads. G-Man, T-Money, where do you stand?
Oh, I love that. I love that, leaning over the funeral for Seattle.
That was good. That was good.
And Pete Carroll, the death of the Seahawks. Where do we stand?
What do you think? God. What do you think, G? Where you stand?
Oh, man. Hey, man. I mean, I think it's a win-win trade here. I don't totally agree with Randy, though. I don't see this as the death of the Seahawks, man. These guys got a lot for us. I think it's a win for both teams here. They get Drew Lock, they get Noah Fant, they get 2 first-rounders, 2 second-rounders. So they got a backup quarterback. What if they swing those first and second-rounders around and pull in Deshaun Watson with those picks? You know, do they have a way to maneuver here and get that quarterback? Even someone like Jameis Winston, could they pull a little reversal here and get those picks out there and pull in that starter quarterback? I think it's fine for Seattle. Russ was having some issues, which we're going to talk about. What do you think?
I mean, I think this is the death of Pete Carroll. I kind of agree with Randy there. Like this, he's got to go. He's just too old school, stuck in the 90s, ground and pound, great defense. Like the death of new coaches is having a mediocre quarterback and a good defense. Like Mike Zimmer just got fired from the Vikings. Vic Fangio just got fired from Denver. They had mediocre quarterbacks and good defenses. Like you can try to win, but elite quarterbacks are how you win in the NFL now. And Pete Carroll doesn't want to evolve. And I think this is the death of him. I agree with you. Seattle has plenty of room. You know, it's not the death of them. They have plenty of room to make moves. I think they could bring in a guy like Teddy Bridgewater, great gap guy. Tyrod Taylor, Marcus Mariota. I think these are all solid B- guys that could, you know, maybe make them splash. I don't think they're getting to the playoffs because that division's so hard, but no. I don't think it's the death of Seattle. I just think Drew Lock's not the answer. Let's just start with that. I think that was a salary cap dump there personally. He only has 1 year left on this contract. He's done after this year. He's proven he can't be a starting quarterback. So I don't really care about Drew Lock in this. Noah Fant's a phenomenal tight end. He's a freak athlete. And Harris is a solid D. I think they got an okay haul. I thought there was more trades out there, but with Russ's no trade clause, that makes it really hard to make moves to maybe better offers.
Russ is 34. He had some injury issues. That finger issue, he was having some problems there. He was having some problems there. I think that Seattle saw the writing. This guy's getting a little bit older. Let's go. Let's rebuild a little bit. Let's get a little younger. Let's get some draft picks. Because if he has a bad year, then they have trouble getting that much for him. They got some great 2 first rounders and 2 second rounders for the year that Seattle had on Russ.
Supposedly they were offered more first rounders from other teams. But like I said, the no trade clause makes it tough. Let me say this though about the Seattle. They've not had very good draft choices recently. That's what scares me most about this. These guys have not been drafting well. They've got a lot of busts, a lot of guys who don't even start for them after 4 years. They have 2 Pro Bowlers in the last 4 years of drafting. One of them's a punter. Like, they're not drafting great in the first place, so that's what scares me. But at least they got 2 solid guys out of it. But we'll see. I think this is an okay trade for Seattle. I think they could have gotten more, but
I mean,
great win for Denver.
I think it's a win-win for both teams, but Seattle still is at 4th spot behind the Rams, behind the Cardinals, behind the 49ers. And then that's not going to change right here anytime soon. So, and they weren't going to change it in this trade. But let's swing over to the Denver side of this. I know you're high on Denver getting Russell Wilson. I have some concerns about this because of the division that they're in. And which Russell Wilson are they going to get? The one with the hurt finger or the one before that? That's my concern.
Hey, I see the concern. My thinking is Russell Wilson's dealt with the toughest division in football the past 4 years. So what's changed? Like, the Niners have made a Super Bowl. The Rams have made 2 in the past 4 years since he's been in Seattle. And that's just his division. So I'm not concerned about them because he's dealt with this his entire career, basically, with a pretty tough division. Yes, it's going to be tougher for them to make the playoffs, and, for them to win a Super Bowl, it will be tougher. But I think the roster is maybe one of the best in the NFL right now, and just demonstrably better team than he had in Seattle. His offensive line was one of the worst in Seattle. Now he's got a solid O-line. His defense was one of the worst pass defenses in the NFL. Now he's got 2 great corners and a young defense. Like, I just think this is a great roster, and free agency hasn't even started.
It's going to be great. It's a win-win for Denver and Russ. And Denver's chance to make the playoffs before this move, to make the playoffs by Sportsline, 15% chance before this move, only 45% after this move still.
Because of the division.
50% chance to make the playoffs, even with this move with Russ.
No, I mean, that doesn't surprise me because the Raiders were supposedly the worst team in that division last year, and they went to the playoffs and the Chargers didn't. They both would have if they have tied. So really 3 teams made the playoffs last year. I think the biggest winner here, though, let me say, is Nathaniel Hackett. That guy almost went from Drew Lock and muddling with bad quarterbacks for the next 5 years and then getting fired to now Russell Wilson for probably the next 8 years and Super Bowl roster. Like, that guy's got to be ecstatic.
I think they got a better move here than if Aaron Rodgers would win. I think this is a better
I agree
move
with
for them.
you. I agree with you. Younger and more team guy. I think this is
He's
awesome.
a great leader. The guy's a great leader.
Totally agree with you.
That whole new leadership into that locker room is going to be something brand new for Denver.
Totally agree.
How about the conference power? Just to kind of wrap this up, looking at the conference power, moving from the NFC West to the AFC West. All of a sudden, the AFC is getting a lot tougher with the emergence of Burrow and the players that they already had. Now Russ coming in to the AFC, the NFC now without Tom Brady and losing Russ. And now, what's up here with this AFC is just getting tougher and tougher road, man, to make it to the conference title.
Yeah, that is just stacked. Like, he's Josh Allen and Stafford, Trey Lance, who knows who, Trey Lance and those guys, who knows who he's going to be, but it's really Aaron Rodgers and Stafford over there. Like, that's it. Yeah. There's no one else. Like Kyler.
I mean, you got Dak. If your man Dak can pull it.
I mean, I don't ever trust the Cowboys, especially when Mike McCarthy's the head coach, but like you said, the AFC is just stacked. I mean, stacked.
Hey, man. Hey, we hope you love the Chug Chant by Cousin Randy. It's a special segment brought to you by Father, Son, and Holy Sport Podcast Network. If you're interested in being a sponsor of the Chug Chant or a guest chugger on the Chug Chant, let us know. And if you like the show, love it, man. Press the like and subscribe. You can find all of our shows and segments where you play your podcast, and check out our website, Father, Son, and Holy Sport.com. On behalf of T-Money, I'm G-Man. We'll see you next week.
All right. See ya.